privilege of sitting next to probably the biggest celebrity here today. Both a huge result of the amazing French tech ecosystem, but also kind of one of the founding fathers of AI, which is the conversation we're here to have today. So I know traditionally you have to start simple, right, in a talk like this, and start with the easy stuff and then build up to the big questions. But we've only got 35 minutes, and I've got one of the foremost scientists on AI in the world, so I'm not going to start simple, I'm going to start with the big picture. Jan, I've heard you talking about and saying that one of the most challenging scientific questions of our time is to understand what is intelligence. What is the nature of intelligence? How can we reproduce it in machines? And you have this amazing view from the time that you've been working in it. Can you talk a little bit about what you have learned through the course of your work and where we are today in terms of understanding really what is intelligence, and is it even possible to create a machine version of it?
So you can get an idea of that by observing the history of the progress in AI and connected fields. So the idea, for example, that intelligence emerges from a large number of very simple elements that are interconnected with each other, and that the function basically results from the connection. Mm-hmm. That idea emerged in the 1950s from neuroscience, from system theory and things like this, and the fact that we could perhaps reproduce this in the machine was not obvious. It was called, at some point in the 50s, it was called self-organization. That's like a principle that perhaps explained why life emerges, but also intelligence. And so then how to reproduce this with the machine, I think, was a big question. And for a while, and then another current of AI, if you want, that was not at all concerned with this, was trying to, that current gave way to sort of classical computer science, if you want. Right? So more algorithms and complexity theory and stuff like that, expert systems, classical AI. But I think the concept that learning algorithms, the way we use them today, deep learning, the techniques have existed since the 1980s, but the type of those kinds of techniques are much better at designing intelligent systems than human engineers. And that's very humbling for engineers that, it's impossible to design a system that can recognize images by hand. But if you let the system learn, it works. And it took a lot of a change of mind for scientists and engineers to realize that this was the case, and that's what allowed the emergence of machine learning and deep learning that we see today.
So when we look at what we have today, what we kind of hold up as the most advanced AI today, which is large language models for the average person, that's how they see, the most advanced AI. What do you think that is the most advanced form of it that we have today, and is that a path towards, recreating human intelligence in your view?
Okay, so my picture of the progress of AI, let's think of this as some sort of highway on the path towards reproducing perhaps human level intelligence or beyond. And on that path, that AI has followed for the last 60 or 70 years, there's been a bunch of branches, some of which gave rise to classical computer science, some of which gave rise to pattern recognition, computer vision, other things, speech recognition, etc. And all of those things had practical importance at one point in the past, but were not on the main road to ultimate intelligence, if you will. I view LLM as another one of those off-ramps. It's very useful. There's a whole industry building itself around it, which is awesome. We're working on it at Meta, obviously, but for people like me who are interested in what's the next exit on the highway, or perhaps not even the next exit, like how do I make progress on this highway, it's an off-ramp. So I tell PhD students, young students who are interested in AI research for the next generation AI systems, I tell them, do not work on LLM. There's no point working on LLM. This is in the hands of product divisions in large companies. There's nothing you can bring to that table. You should work on the next generation AI system that lift the limitation of LLMs, which all of us have some idea what they are.
But tell us why. Why do you think that it's an off-ramp? Why is it definitely not the solution, like some believe, like say OpenAI?
Okay, so that a little over a year ago, early in 2023, Meta essentially created a product division called Gen AI, which is focused, so this is the organization that produces Llama, Meta AI, which is the intelligent assistant, built on top of Llama, and then image and video generation systems, right? And that group, initially, the core engineering and R&D team of that group was formed by people from FAIR, which is a fundamental AI research lab. So 60, 70 people from FAIR were basically transferred to that product group, and then a lot more people were hired, of course, to do the products. And what that has done is basically it's allowed FAIR to refocus on longer-term research. What is the next generation AI systems? How do we build AI systems that understand the physical world, that have persistent memory, that can reason and can plan? These are 4 characteristics of intelligent behavior that LLMs basically cannot do, or they can only do them in sort of very superficial, approximate way. So these are the challenges of AI for the next few years, perhaps the next decade. This is what FAIR now is focused on. We need the next generation. And you will see some of this research filtering into, Llama 4, 5, 6 maybe, but ultimately, kind of tracing a path towards human-level AI systems and perhaps even superhuman.
You said famously that LLMs aren't even as intelligent as a cat, right? If that's the case, why are they useful? Can they be AI assistants, or if not, what's the point of them?
Computers are useful, calculators are useful, a hammer is useful, and your hammer is not as smart as your cat. So yeah, tools are useful. They don't need to be necessarily smart in every way to be useful. Now, there is something that is very important to understand, which is intelligence is not a linear scale in which you can just measure if something is more intelligent or less intelligent. It's a collection of skills and a capacity to acquire new skills quickly. Right? So humans, how is it that any teenager can learn to drive a car in about 20 hours of practice? And we still don't have self-driving cars. And we certainly don't have self-driving car systems that can train themselves to drive in 20 hours without causing any accident. That's just completely out of reach, right? So that tells you that there's a big gap between the type of intelligence that we can reproduce in machines and the kind of intelligence we observe in humans and animals. How is it that we don't have domestic robots that can clear up the dinner table and fill up the dishwasher and clean the house? Because that requires an understanding of the physical world, which we are not able to reproduce with machines